guys, Kane here with the History Rats. Happy Spooktacular October! This is our first spooky episode, and we are talking about the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. That's right, Marie Laveau. Let's get started. Hold on now. Before we get too far into that story about Marie Laveau, this is the first Wednesday of October, and October happens to be a very important month. No, not just because it's spooktacular and ends with candy on Halloween. October happens to be Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And breast cancer happens to be a subject that is very close to my heart. So, before we get back into the voodoo, let's have a word about breast cancer awareness and breast cancer prevention. Be right back. Breast cancer is one of the most common cancers in women today, but there are still some things that you may not know about it. In honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, here are 5 things you may not know about breast cancer. Number 1, breast cancer doesn't always come in the form of a lump. Breast cancer in its earliest stages usually doesn't have any symptoms at all. When symptoms do appear, it's not always in the form of a lump. Here are some signs that you should keep a lookout for, and if you spot them, you should report them to your doctor right away. A lump in your breast, obviously. Swelling in or around your breast, collarbone, or armpit. Skin thickening or redness in or around your breast. Breast warmth and itching. Nipple changes or discharge. And breast pain lasting for more than 3 or 4 weeks. Number 2, having a male relative who's had breast cancer increases your chances. You may be more likely to get breast cancer if you have a male relative who's had the disease. This is especially true if it's a close family member like a father, brother, or son. If you fall in this group, talk to your doctor about genetic testing to find out if cancer runs in your family. Number 3, maintaining a healthy weight can reduce your breast cancer risk. Being overweight or obese, especially after menopause, may raise your cancer risk. To keep your cancer risks low, avoid weight gain by eating healthy foods and staying active. Stick with a plant-based diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans. And try to fit in at least 30 minutes of physical activity in your day. Number 4, you don't need to learn how to do a self-exam. Studies show that monthly breast self-exam isn't necessary. Instead, it's more important to stay aware of how your breasts look and feel. If you notice changes, report them to your doctor without delay. This works just as well as doing a formal breast self-exam. Number 5, drinking several glasses of alcohol a day can up your breast cancer risk. Having a glass of wine now and again is not bad for your health, but drinking several glasses a day can increase your breast cancer risk. Play it safe by sticking to the recommended serving size. The American Institute for Cancer Research recommends that women have no more than 1 drink per day, and men have no more than 2 drinks per day. To schedule an appointment at MD Anderson's Lyda Hill Cancer Prevention Center, please call 877-632-6789. Stay aware and stay alive. How about that? And now, back to our story. Whether you're on a ghost tour, a voodoo tour, or an historical tour of New Orleans, the chances are very high that you will hear stories and legends of the city's beloved Queen of Vodou, Marie Laveau. Marie Laveau was a free person of color living in the most colorful city in the United States, New Orleans. An article in the New Orleans Times, April 1886, adoringly remembered Marie Laveau as, and I quote, gifted with beauty and intelligence, she ruled her own race and made captive of many of the others. End quote. A Creole woman with her own set of rules and strong beliefs, who was surrounded by the political and religious influence of wealthy white men, Marie Laveau was a trailblazer for all women. Her strong convictions and loyal confidentiality have kept her a mysterious legend for centuries. The early life of Marie Laveau. It is believed that Marie Laveau was born in the French Quarter of New Orleans. When she was born was not recorded, but by doing some research and a little bit of math, it has been deduced that it was 1801 when she was born. Her mother, Marguerite d'Arcantrell, was a freed slave and mistress of her father, Charles Laveau, a wealthy mulatto businessman. Marguerite gave birth to Marie at her mother's home, then returned to her relationship. She left her newborn baby girl with her mother, Catherine. Marie Laveau was the firstborn free in her family. It is said that Marie's great-grandmother came to New Orleans as a slave from West Africa in the mid-1700s. Her grandmother, Catherine, was purchased by a free woman of color. Catherine was eventually able to buy her own freedom and build her small home in the French Quarter, where Marie would live and become the legendary Voodoo Queen of America. Queen. There is a theory that Marie Laveau trained under the guidance of Saint Didier and Marie Solape. Probably the most exciting theory is that she was a student of the famous Dr. John. And others rationalize that she would have been raised in a collaboration of Catholicism and Voodoo by her grandmother and her mother, both of whom would have been practitioners with Catholic faith. There may even be some elements of truth in all of these theories. Visit New Orleans and take a cemetery or ghost tour, and you will undoubtedly hear about Marie Laveau's followers and her mysterious gatherings in Congo Square. Congo Square is just a short walk over Rampart Street from the Laveau Glampian House on St. Anne. In the 1800s, Code Noir granted Sundays and holidays to the New Orleans slaves. They would spend their free time cultivating gardens, fishing, and other things that would give them goods to sell and trade. Many would have their Sunday worship at St. Augustine's Church and walk over to Congo Square with their goods to set up a market. By the mid-1800s, Congo Square had become more than a market. It was a community center for the New Orleans people of color. Marie Laveau would attend the gatherings in Congo Square on Sundays and sell her gris-gris bags, offer advice and services to her community, and partake in the celebration. It is here that legends talk about her singing and performing her spiritual celebrations, conjuring the great serpent spirit, and becoming filled with the spirit of Lo, wearing her Queen of Vodou crown proudly. The Congo Square celebrations were weekly. However, there was one night a year that was sacred to the Creoles who practiced voodoo, St. John's Eve. St. John's Eve, or the Eve of the Fest of St. John the Baptist, is an observance of the summer solstice, Midsummer's Eve. The day is acknowledged and celebrated among many cultures and religions, dating back to the Celtics, Druids, and European pagan rituals. For the New Orleans voodoo community, it meant coming together for ritual bathing in sacred waters and communing around bonfires. And like the Sunday Congo Square celebrations, St. John's Eve ceremonies were supposedly led by Marie Laveau. You can use your imagination and the images then have been planted in our minds by modern cinema to picture what exactly went on during these ceremonies. Hollywood tells us it was a lot of naked dancing and orgies around bonfires. Even the white journalists of the 19th century used the mysterious celebration to report the supposed savage and immoral acts. In July of 1869, a local news column reported, "June is the time devoted by the Vodou worshippers to the celebration of their most sacred and therefore most revolting rites." The writer goes on to describe midnight dances, bathing and eating, together with less innocent pleasures. There is an interesting little mention in the article where the writer announces the retirement of Marie Laveau. He refers to her reign as the Voodoo Queen for a quarter of a century. Today, the celebration of St. John's Eve is still alive and revered. It takes place on Bayou Street, John, in New Orleans, and brings together the practicing voodoo community, as well as those with respectful curiosity. You will find everyone dressed in white and following the lead of the local voodoo priestess, Sally Ann Glassman, doing their best to make Marie proud. New Orleans cemetery records prove that Marie Laveau was interred in the Widow Paris tomb in St. Louis No. 1 Cemetery. Marie Laveau's tomb is the most visited tomb in all of New Orleans cemeteries. Unfortunately, not all visitors are respectful, and there have been countless acts of vandalism to her tomb. The defacing of her tomb became such an issue that the Archdiocese and New Orleans Catholic cemeteries no longer allow tourists to enter St. Louis No. 1 without a licensed tour guide who holds a permit from the NOCC, New Orleans Catholic Cemetery. And let me tell you, this is true, and it's like $25 a person to get in on the tour, just saying. If we listen to the guides on ghost tours and voodoo tours, then we are excitedly led to believe that Marie Laveau was indeed a voodoo queen and that her ghost still roams her cottage on St. Anne and has even been sighted at her tomb. Unfortunately, the only recorded truth to any of those stories is that she indeed lived and died in her St. Anne cottage, which was demolished in 1907. There have been songs written about her. She has inspired movies. The very popular television show American Horror Story has created a fan cult devoted to her legend. She's crossed the line from historical figure to famous pop culture icon, 138 years after her death. Marie Laveau will always be a central figure in the history of New Orleans. If we go by the obituaries that were written about her, she was a healer and a philanthropist. She was a woman who nursed the unfortunate souls stricken by yellow fever, who ministered prisoners in the parish prison, and who attended Catholic Mass daily. Perhaps there was voodoo woven through her faith and service. We'll never know. The one rumor that has proven itself to be true was that secrets were safe with Marie Laveau, and still are, including her own. Just wanna be with you.